I don't have anything to disclose, although recently I became a new member of the advisory committee for the Citizen CPR Foundation, so perhaps that's something I should now disclose. Very much looking forward to that new relationship. Learning objectives. Because of the time, I'm going to skip this. Bottom line, do resuscitation drills. What is the connection to self-efficacy? Something I studied in my doctoral work. And I'd like to present to you a mindset that I like to talk about, my hospital hamburger, when it comes to in-hospital cardiac arrest response. So, fight, flight, or freeze. Normal physiological reaction to danger or emergency. We all see it. I don't care if you are critical care or you are not critical care, we all experience it, although some of us channel it easier and or better or more naturally than others. So we've all seen it. We want them to fight, we want them to run to the scene, but we'd like it to be a nice, not a street brawl, right? What it kind of sometimes looks like, both inside the room and outside the room. But when we practice and have hands-on, we might be able to prevent where's the nurse whose patient this is? Have that happened to you guys? When you try to get reported that handoff, where did she go? Where'd she go? And or he. And what about the one in the corner? Completely frozen. It's a natural reaction that happens. What can we do to help our team members get past that? So what does the science say? The science says, and has since the early 80s, brief hands-on repetitive practice. Brief hands-on repetitive practice. They say that 2 years in the classroom in the land far, far away from where the magic hits the fan is too long. Right? It's true. We need our hands-on brief repetitive practice, but what does that look like? What does that look like where you guys practice? So I'm going to throw in there that it should be with your unit and your team and their equipment. Now there's a ton of equipment in that room over there. Everyone wants to give us something that we can simulate what we need to do when the duty hits the fan. I suggest we need to use their equipment in their space. Very important to code prep a space. We need to be preparing beforehand. Continuously, this is not a one and done. This is not something to make your requirements, your quarterly requirements for JACO or DMV. This is ongoing, brief, hands-on repetitive practice in their unit with their equipment and their team in order to help that fear. All right, so I find that what we are doing today, the highest and best evidence suggests brief hands-on repetitive practice. We have learning that is instructor-led, blended, and or completely online. What is missing? This is what I think is missing. Deterioration training. We just heard from Fiona about deterioration. How far upstream can we get? Why are we missing the signs and symptoms of deterioration? Backboard and pad training. You guys, we need to train on this. Do you know how many practitioners have never taken the backboard off the crash cart? They don't even know where it is half the time. And the pad placement, have you ever done a quick drill and seen where those pads show up? I'm like, it's close. It's close. We're just gonna go over just a little bit. If they don't handle it, they can't be very good at it. This is a big one, defibrillator training. Defibrillator fear is real. It's very real. We think it's real in the public with an AED. I present to you that it is very real in the hospital setting. I'm not talking about your critical care areas. I'm talking about in the middle of the hospital. If you do not handle your equipment, you cannot be proficient at it. It's going to cause fear, and they're going to hesitate. Analyze training. Lots of discussion around this. I'm not talking about an AED defibrillator. I'm talking about defibrillator as a manual defibrillator. It has an analyze function on it. In my opinion, it is the most underutilized tool in our belt. Push the button. The machine knows you don't have to. Team performance. If you are doing your online class at home and you're going to the station in the closet somewhere in the hospital to do your compressions and airway only, where's your team? Who's rusher 1, 2, and 3, and who's going to do what when the duty hits the fan? Debrief. Don't let them go home without a debrief. The fast and the furious, the good, the bad, the ugly, have the conversation, not only for the skills of what did we do good or bad, but the emotional gig that our people are taking home with them and maybe not coming back. These are the things that I feel are missing and we need to bring into our everyday practice. What does a hamburger have to do with what the heck I'm talking about? Well, this is my favorite hospital hamburger. So I'd like to introduce to you the penthouse. In the penthouse, we have the ICU. There is a different mindset and skill set for those who live and dwell in the top bun. Bottom bun, ER. You like that, ER? By the way, I'm an ER nurse, so I can say this, right? So in the bottom bun, another set of skills, another set of mindset. Mindset and skill set, very different. These are critical care thinkers. These are leaner inners. When the fight or fleer comes to us, You know, sometimes you call them crackheads or whatever, but we are running to the problem. We are not running to the John. What about everybody else? The middle of the hospital is the BLS burger. Low frequency, high risk. Don't have the same expectation of your burger that you have for your buns. Who usually handles the rapid response teams? Who is usually the one wanting to train the BLS burger? You, critical care, run to the leaner, inner people. Please do not have that same expectation. If they wanted to work with you up there or down there, they would. Also, you'll find the same type of behavior in EMS. There's a reason we're in critical care. We like it. A lot of people don't. So the mindset's different. The skill set is very different. Acuity means something different to the buns versus the burger, right? We think sick or not sick. That's what we train in EMS. We who live and work in the buns, we think sick or not sick. That's how we think. It's our natural way of being. This is why we went into healthcare. This is why we went into what we do. But in the burger, the BLS burger, they don't think the sick are sick or not sick. They are tasking. They give levels of acuity to the number of tasks each patient has in each room. They have 6 patients. The highest they do is patient assignments based on acuity in the middle of the hospital. Remember, like 90% of our patients are in this burger. Peg tube, 3 assists to the bathroom, polypharmacy, AccuChecks, blah, blah, blah. It's a long, long, long list. The nurse is thinking how many tasks my 6 patients have and how acute that is. I learned that in my master's study a handful of years ago. I was like, oh, no. That one's not sick at all. That one's okay. But the guy next door that you're giving a green, I'm gonna say is a red, very sick. It's a mentality, so I would be remiss if I didn't spend a little time getting you into my hospital hamburger mentality. All right, what do we talk about for timing? What is it we're after? What do we want them to do? What do we want us to do? We want to recognize the problem, call for help, and act. Isn't that the theme for this entire conference? I've heard it again and again and again in different language and different words, but this is what we're after. Recognition, you talked about deterioration. Huge, how far upstream can we get to help recognize the signs and symptoms of deterioration? There's NEWS, there's MUSE, there's EPIC deterioration index. It's only as good as the nurse puts it. I know there's lots of stuff that can be imported from the background, but how timely is it? Some of them bring labs. The labs are every so many hours. Anyway, recognition is a big part. I can do a whole other discussion on that, and I shall another time. Calling for help. Do they know how to do it? Do they know when to do it? How many lists have you given them of parameters that they need to read to figure out when should they actually call? Do they feel supported to call? We make them feel any kind of sort of less than when we show up, because it probably maybe sort of could have just been a repositioning and a little O2. And act. What does the act look like? Rescue drills, in my opinion, this is a little mesh, my little pre-hospital. I also have my medic license. I've studied and taught in paramedicine. Who's got it going on? EMS has it going on. It is their, cardiac arrest is their calling card. They practice it a lot. They use rescue drills. They use pit crew style drills. My suggestion is we bring them in the hospital. Brief, hands-on, repetitive practice. Who is rescuer 1, 2, and 3? Everybody. I know there's code roles. Believe me, I work with them, but I know this is pre-code roles. This is who's rescuer 1, 2, 3. If you have basic life support training, you are rescuer 1, 2, or 3, and you should know what to do in those first few minutes. 2 to 6 minute drills. This is all I'm requiring. What is the frequency? I suggest monthly at a minimum. Monthly's good. 6 weeks would be good. If you're going to push it to quarterly, we're starting to get out of the window of opportunity. They have to be, you guys, it has to be everybody. You can't do a mock code once every quarter. If everybody on that unit didn't handle it and do it, they did not get the benefit, and now they've just lost. So, 2 to 6 minutes. Everyone says to me, especially the buns, when are you gonna get to the advanced stuff, Susan? We got this. And I say, well, as soon as you can show me those first 2 to 6 minutes and you've got it like a well-oiled machine, we'll do it. So, emergency equipment and the burger versus the bun. Burgers, the buns, they handle the emergency equipment all the time. All the time. You're handling the defibrillator, you're handling the crash cart, you're in and out of it all day long. How often do you think they get into the cart in the middle of the hospital? The red scary beast in the corner, they Hail Mary on their way in and pray that they don't have to use it. There's many, many, many barriers to that piece of equipment. They need more time on their hands-on equipment. And ED and ICU folks, the turnover right now with nursing is so huge. They need this too. They just don't like to admit it. Defib fear is very, very real. To me, the analyze function is one of the most underutilized tool in our tool belt. I said that earlier, I'll say it again. In the red because they're dead is what I teach. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Step 1, turn it on. Step 2, analyze or, oops, there goes my time. I knew I was gonna get in trouble. Okay, analyze, okay. Shock or not shock? Do you know how many nurses are scared to death of not knowing that rhythm? All of them, just about. All of them. Push the button, no harm, no foul. The machine knows. If it says shock, what are we gonna do? Clear and shock. Guess what happens when we do these drills? In a minute and a half, again and again and again and again, we are ready in a minute and a half. We are shocking 3 times before rapid response gets there. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. And guess what? If shock is not advised, we still push the button in the Zoll and or whatever equipment you're using. We'll timestamp that so we can prove how quickly we're doing this. Right now, the national average in the United States of America, first shock in hospital is 9 minutes. What? Okay, turn it on. Analyze. Push the button. If you guys will know me, you'll hear me as the rest of you run across the road. I'm screaming push the button all over the place. All right, what does self-efficacy have to do with this? Well, I spent my own research studying self-efficacy and whoa, I gotta speed it up. Okay, here we go. What does self-efficacy have to do with this? Data, data, data. Everyone wants more data. I say if we build their self-efficacy, your numbers will come. The numbers you want will come. I've heard fear and confidence in all of these rooms. We want mastery. We want vicarious experience. When you do these drills in their unit and their team members are watching, there's gonna be like, they're charting, they're like, I'm too busy for this. They're charting, right? But they're watching. They're watching from the side. When you do it in their unit with their equipment, even the haters or the late adapters, they're watching. We learn from one another. And by the way, it's fun. When you see pads stuck on like this, you can laugh. There's laughter, and then we fix it. They remember, and it takes away the fear. So, verbal persuasion. You'll see the CNAs will be like, you forgot to put the rail down. Get the pillow out of the way. Everyone starts to participate. These are 2 to 6 minute drills. Emotional arousal. We want to stir it up while we're there. I got to keep going, goodness gracious. All right, we want to give them the learning opportunities. It's very good for them to observe others, observe their peers. Communication and teamwork. Where's the communication and teamwork when you're on that station in the closet in the corner of the hospital? Where's that? Emotional arousal, we went through there. Our goal is developing their self-efficacy, improving their courage. We want them to have specifically resuscitation self-efficacy, and ultimately a behavior or mastery of these skills. We want them to recognize the problem, call for help, and act proficiently. All right, now to wrap this up, just to kind of bring some numbers to you. Numbers, people, this is from my study, and I have 1 minute, so here we go. I'm just gonna skip to the last one. 86% had never used their emergency equipment. This is on a medical surgical unit in a critical acute care hospital in South Florida. 86% had never used their defibrillator. What was the problem? We're missing the signs and symptoms of deterioration. They are uncomfortable with their equipment and delaying what we know they need. Purpose was improve, improve, improve. This is, you see how I got a speed forward button. What the instrument I used was a basic life support self-efficacy survey. They were asked, in an emergency situation, I am confident I can. 0, I do not have this skill at all. 5, not so bad. 10, I'm a rock star. What do we see? All right, this is easy. These are their self-given pre-scores of the first steps of a cardiac arrest, 8s, 9s, what happened after we practiced. Boom, 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 boom. Pretty clear, right? How about the emergency equipment? Pre-scores, turning it on, a 2 out of 10. Shock, I think I can shock with that glowing orange button, a 4. What happened after hands-on drill practice? Boom, 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 boom. Oh, not so good. This is after lots of hands-on practice. This shows we have plenty of work to do, guys, with hands-on in your environment. So, I'm out of time. There's a skills gap. We need clinical verification. I want to roll out the red carpet for rapid response teams if you do these drills. And slay that lion. Run to the problem instead of to the John. Thank you.